Prepare to experience the strongest radio allowable by law. Secrets will be revealed. Myths dispelled.
From the studio gym where excuses never apply.
It's Superhuman Radio with your host, Carl Lenore.
This is Science for Humans with Dr. Jeff Galini.
Dr. J.
Carl, how we doing?
Dr. J, you have really built a huge following. Every time you post pictures of your bodybuilding days, obviously you were a professional bodybuilder. This is not a small accomplishment. And as a result, Randy on Facebook asked the question, Dr. Jeff, I've seen pictures of you when you were bodybuilding, and I must say that you sure know what you are doing, and I trust your advice 100%. So, how did you gain muscle while not putting on body fat? I need help doing this. I mean, that really is an art, isn't it, Jeff?
You know, it is, and I think, a lot of the younger people, getting into bodybuilding or getting into training, they read too much stuff on the internet, Carl, that they're trying all this wacky stuff, and, although it kind of makes sense and it might work for some people, it's not the best way to accomplish it. There's still a lot of people think old school where you first put on a whole lot of weight and then you figure out how to get rid of the fat. And then there are others that say, you don't eat carbs, you don't eat fat. I mean, there's so many different wacky things. But it is an art. I mean, it takes time, but bodybuilding is a process. I saw a little video on Facebook that had Arnold, Mike Christian, a bunch of the old-time bodybuilders, and the whole thing was talking about how bodybuilding used to be an art, And when I bodybuilded, that's really what it was about. It was about, Arnold used to say taking some clay and chipping away at it and sculpting what you wanted, because you could look however you wanted to look. If you wanted to be lean and skinny, you could be that. If you wanted to be muscular, I mean, there's no set pattern to, what you could not do.
Right. And so you're right. So the idea of bulking up, I personally think, is the result of people want to see the scale go up because they feel like if they're putting on weight, they're making progress. But the reality is, if you're putting on body fat, you're not making progress.
No, and I think, again, too many coaches out there, when I was in school, especially high school and college, everybody was about, you need to weigh more, you got to weigh more, you need to put on weight. You'll burn it off during, 2-a-days, or we had 3-a-days. But, that's kind of a bad philosophy because, once you develop those fat cells, they never disappear. They're always there, and that's the last thing you want to do. But I know in my early days, that's what I did, is I thought that was the best way, is it didn't matter what I ate. I was just about gaining weight and getting stronger. But I wasn't in the bodybuilding yet, The only good thing is, in high school, I would build up for football, but then I would go into basketball, so I'd end up losing, 25 pounds,
right.
And then I'd put it back on for track. So it was kind of this evolution that would happen during a year cycle, And, back then when your metabolism is a lot quicker, you can eat a little bit differently. But, again, the muscle wasn't good quality as what Randy is looking for. So, no, I would say don't just go out there and eat a bunch of stuff. I mean, if you want to just gain weight, that is easy. I mean, drink whole milk, go to McDonald's, 5 times a day. I mean, eat high fats and, you'll put on weight, but that isn't muscle. And actually, this, it's harder to gain muscle when you got a whole lot of body fat in the way.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are some of these strategies? When you say eat healthy, right? I mean, there's a lot of people out there that say eat big to get big, but getting big isn't your goal. Getting muscular is. So what are some of the strategies?
Yeah, it's amazing because people, when you say, look, if you can put on a pound or two of quality muscle a year, you're doing great. And, people are going, well, that's not nothing. I want to put on 10 pounds a month. So, again, eating healthy is the first step. You might want to say eating smart, eating right, because your diet is your primary source of your nutrition. And I always say the higher the quality of the food, the higher the quality of the muscle. So you got to break it apart into your proteins, your carbohydrates, and your fats. So let's look at proteins. When we're talking about eating healthy, we got to look at protein sources that are going to be absorbed easily, that contain high protein content, but more importantly, they're cooked properly. You know, you can take chicken, which is probably one of the best protein sources, and you can deep fat fry it and bread it, and now you've taken something healthy into something unhealthy. So again, you know, when you want to bodybuild, you know, that isn't something that you eat on a daily basis. So you got to back it all up, and you got to cook clean. You got to cook healthy. We call it clean eating. So you look at your chicken, your turkey, your fish, and I'm a believer in red meats. You know, I say red meat. You know, sure, there's some leaner cuts, but again, if you barbecue it, most of that fat comes off anyhow.
Right.
But those are your protein sources, and you got to make sure you eat enough. Too many young people getting into the sport, or even older people getting into bodybuilding, whether it's for, you know, personal, for work, for a job, or for a sport, you know, you got to make sure you're eating enough. So my rule of thumb is 1.5 grams per pound of body weight that you want to be at, not where you're at today. So a lot of people will go, well, geez, I can't get that much in 3 meals. Bingo. It takes about 5 or 6 meals. You got to break it apart. A whole lot of food at one time disrupts the digestive system. It puts the body in turmoil. Our body likes to process smaller amounts more often. And then what happens is that, you know, your body knows that in about 2.5 or 3 hours you're going to eat again, so you don't overeat. You don't eat a lot of junk at that one sitting because you know you're going to eat again. And if you're not hungry, it's easier to eat high-quality meals. When people only eat 1 or 2 or 3 meals a day, it's too long. You know, their body kind of goes into a starvation mode, and mentally they've got to replenish, and what do? You go toward the salty, pretzel-y snacks, you go to the sugar candy bar type things, and that's where you get in trouble. So the first step is high-quality protein.
And hot dogs are not a high-quality protein, just for the record. Okay.
Yeah. And that's what I'm talking about, is, you know, that processed stuff. We're talking
that's the stuff.
Back.
That's, you know, whenever they do these studies where they say red meat causes cancer, these people aren't eating steaks and chops. These people are eating Smithfield Farm summer sausage and hot dogs and bologna and turkey bacon. That's crap.
That, you know, anytime you take this meat, you should only cut it up or buy it already cut. That is where you want to eat it. Once somebody else does something else with it, turns it into lunch meat, puts it in a dog, I mean, now it's no longer protein. That's rubbish. That is not how you're going to gain muscle. So again, you know, you've got to cook your own foods. I mean, you know, you have to. You can't depend on the fast food giants out there to prepare your meals. You know, Subway is a great restaurant. It's healthy, you know, compared to other places. But look at the quality of the meats. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You know.
And it's way too much crappy bread on top of that. Okay, what about cardio? Yeah. So there are people out there who say, well, if you got your diet dialed in, you don't have to do cardio. Do you have to do cardio, you think, Dr. J?
Yeah, you know, I like to eat. So if you want to, it depends on your physique. You know, when we're talking about naturally training athletes, so, you know, a guy just messaged me last night saying, you know, man, I'm afraid of doing cardio, but I'm fat. You know, I'm a power lifter. I got to get my weight down, but I'm afraid. And I'm like, what are you afraid of? Well, everyone says I'm going to lose my strength and muscle. And I'm like, absolutely not. When I bodybuilded, I did about 2 hours a day, and I got stronger and put on muscle all the way up to the contest. That's what should happen. Cardio should be your friend. Have you ever seen a sprinter or a football player that's weak? No. You know, so I mean, cardio is important. So you can either decrease the amount of calories or you can increase the output. For me, I was able to hold as much muscle as I did back, you know, during that time where there wasn't a lot of supplementation available, because I ate more food, but I did cardio. I did cardio year-round. I even did it in the off-season when I was eating a little bit more food, trying to put on muscle because I didn't want to put on body fat. So if you look at pictures that I just actually posted, I think it was yesterday or the day before, I was 270 pounds, and for most people, they would love to be that lean. But that was only because I ate healthy. Now, it's a lot of food when you're talking about eating low-calorie stuff. It is tough. You actually get tired of it. So
Lots of
cardio
vegetables.
is,
Yeah.
good quality carbs. I'm a carb guy. And again, for those out there on paleo and low carb, if it works for you, do it. But for me, it didn't work, and I like to eat. I mean, I love carbohydrates. Now, I'm gluten-free, but I still find great carbs that are great. And for me, I like to fuel myself. So I still am a firm believer in watching the fat intake and making sure the fats are higher quality fats. Where back when I was training, I was low fat, zero fat, other than what came from my meat sources. But, again, as we learn technology, we know that those healthy fats are good for you. So I don't have a problem using, good quality olive oil. I love nuts to get my fat sources. I'm not afraid of red meats. Now, I don't, eat that whole chunk of fat that comes on there. That I cut off. But as far as what comes in there, your body needs it, especially if you're exercising, you're training. And that's the one good thing about cardio is your metabolic rate is increased, so you can eat these things.
Did you do cardio on days where you lifted, or did you do cardio on alternate days? How did you work your cardio in?
Oh, I mean, I remember defying the whole laws of gravity. I remember Tom Platz and I were going to do legs one day, and he's like, "You better get rested. We're going to squat." I'm like, "Sure." I rode my bike 10 miles to get to the gym before I squatted. I mean, so yeah, I would do cardio on days. Now, because I train early in the morning, I would typically do my cardio later on. But I always did something, whether it was going for a walk, getting on the bike, treadmill, something. I mean, and then my off day would be something relaxing. And for me, going for a walk or, hopping on a bike and going down the
Venice Beach.
bike path. From Venice Beach out to Redondo Beach. But I went out there to eat because Redondo Beach had that great little sourdough rolls and fish, and so I rode so I could eat more.
Yeah, that's funny. So you'd ride your bike there, and then and the reward once you got there was that you were going to have a great meal.
Yeah, and then I rode back and I head over to the mall and get a couple of those big old muffins, I mean, that's, again, I like to eat, so it helped me to stay lean.
Let's do this. I want to take a break, and then when we come back, I want to talk about training, because obviously we're talking about lean gains, and the diet plays a role in that, but training does too. So let's get some of your secrets on your training style when we come back, okay?
Sounds good.
Stay tuned. You're listening to Science for Humans. We'll be right back. How to properly use carbohydrates to ignite your performance in the field and in the gym? You will now, thanks to this free book by EFX Sports. The Carb User's Guide for Maximum Performance reveals why omitting carbohydrates from your diet can totally crush your gains. Ever wonder how many grams you need for your specific sport? Not anymore. We give you the critical number you need to dominate your competition. You'll even discover the super carb that's taking the athletic world by storm. You must try it to believe it. Go to getcarbolin.com/carb guide today and get your copy absolutely free. Once again, it's getkarbolin.com/CARBGUIDE.
From the makers of GLC 2000, now comes Actistatin Pro Athlete. The Actistatin formula gives you all 4 forms of glucosamine and chondroitin, plus Actistatin's triple patented delivery method to optimize cellular uptake and utilization of glucosamines, chondroitin, ascorbate, and manganese. Regenerate and maintain cartilage, promote joint mobility and flexibility, replenish lost collagen. Get 20% off your next order using the coupon code SHR. Go to superhumanradio.com and click the GLC banner ad today. Push the limits. Feel the difference with Actistatin. What do professional athletes such as Kobe Bryant and A-list celebrities such as Selma Hayek have in common? They are all touting the benefits of bone broth. But unless you have countless hours to cook every week or can hire your own personal chef, you're probably missing out on these critical nutrients. Osteobroth is a high-protein, standardized, consistent bone broth in a convenient powdered form. Use promo code SHR for 20% off at osteobroth.com. The category killer is back. Mass Pro Synthogen, with results literally from workout one. You'll recover like you're a teenager again. If you've been pouring your heart out in the gym with little to nothing to show for it, you owe it to yourself to see the performance-enhancing and cosmetic effects it can make almost immediately. One user said, "I wish I could have tried it sooner. I just ordered 2 more bottles." And another, "The overall single best bodybuilding supplement I have personally ever used." Visit CoachRobRegas.com or PredatorNutrition.com to learn more today. Mass Pro Synthogen. When you train with it, you'll gain with it.
Ever feel like you want something crunchy? From the company that gave us the Quest protein bar, now comes the Quest high protein potato chips with 21 grams of high quality protein and only 5 grams of carbs and no artificial ingredients. Just like Quest bars, you'll feel like you're cheating, but you're not. Go to superhumanradio.com and click the Quest High Protein Potato Chip banner ad today and get ready to be satisfied. Thanks to Quest Nutrition, chips just aren't what they used to be.
Prime Nutrition is proud to present Max HP, their most scientifically formulated pre-workout supplement to date. Now available in 2 great tasting flavors, tropic fruit and raspberry. Max HP is the most ultra-premium pre-workout available and is made without any artificial colors, flavors, or dye. Increasing blood flow to heighten anabolic activity, Max HP is designed to meet the heightened metabolic needs of high-performance athletes. Visit PrimeNutrition.com and use coupon code SuperhumanRadio to receive 20% off of your entire order. Go to PrimeNutrition.com today. Hey, this is Carl. Start your day just like I do with a high-dose lipospheric vitamin C from Live On Labs. You too can benefit from Live On Labs' lipospheric delivery system. No more pills or powders. That's outdated technology. Live On Labs has the world's most efficient vitamin delivery system, period. Learn a lot more today at liveonlabs.com and benefit from their new reduced pricing. That's liveonlabs.com, Livon labs.com.
You're listening to the Superhuman Channel. We're ripped and we're ready.
Well, I guess that means I have to go home because I ain't got no money. If you ain't got no money, take your broke ass home, he said. So.
All right, look, if you guys got money, send a donation into Carl. He needs some money.
Man, you have no idea. you think you're joking. Anyway, look, so you have some secrets. Everybody had secrets, right? Back in the day, Porter Cottrell told me that Lee Labrada once said to him, never train past the pump. Once you start losing the pump, you've overworked that muscle. Move on. So what were some of your secrets and training styles that helped you build muscle while staying lean?
You know, I think the biggest training secrets that I had was, first of all, concentration. You know, doing the movement right. You know, it wasn't about how much weight you could sling. It was about properly working that muscle. And again, this is where the art of bodybuilding comes into play, because, you know, you see people in the gym all the time. I mean, they're doing cleans, and it's like, what are you doing? I mean, maybe if you're a football player.
Yeah, if you're an Olympic lifter, if that's your goal to be able to power clean a certain amount of weight, that's a different story. But if you're a bodybuilder.
These are bodybuilders, you know, or you know, they're doing bicep curls and they're slinging their back and they're not even working their buys. I remember a couple guys that used to get on the bench press, and the guy on the top would take lifting straps and he would strap into the guy. The guy on the bottom would put 2 big foam pillows on, and they rocked back and forth. I didn't know if the guy on the top was doing deadlifts and the one on the bottom. What? It was hilarious. They put like 500 pounds on there.
Oh, that's hilarious! If the guy on the top was doing deadlift, they were both working.
Back day or bed day. But anyhow, you gotta control the movement, and you gotta concentrate on the muscle. And again, you know, 1-2 reps, that isn't for bodybuilding. That's for powerlifting. That's for power sports. You've got to work that muscle. Tom Platz used to say, when you get to the point that muscle starts burning, that's when you're actually starting to grow. Everything before that is just warm-up. So my secrets were I always concentrated, I always added weight. So I would start with a lighter weight to get the blood flowing, and then I would increase weight till I got to the maximum that I could do for about 10 reps. So I always kept around that 10 rep was my minimum that I did. And again, I would literally put my mind into that muscle and I would concentrate. So if I was doing legs, I was thinking about the muscle group. I was seeing it grow. I was visualizing, and I was handling some weight. You cannot build a big physique handling light weight.
But on that note, so because I'm training around this tricep surgery, right? I'm starting to do pulling movements, and obviously I'm not pulling the same heavy weights that I was before, because I want to stimulate the tricep with this antagonistic movement, but I don't want to tear it again. And so what I've been doing and what I've noticed is I am generally using a weight right now where I can feel my back muscles working and focus on my tricep not working. That's forced me to do what you're talking about, to focus on the muscles moving the weight. And you get fatigued a lot faster with a lighter weight when you're doing the movement right.
Oh, if I can give you a 10-pound dumbbell and I can have you do an exercise that you'd go, 10 pounds is nothing, and you will be crying when you get done, because again, it's about squeezing, concentrating, isometric, slow up, slow down. Any type of resistance, you should be able to work that muscle. Again, sometimes when you go too heavy, you're working all kind of muscles, and that's where you get hurt. You don't want to be using your back when you're doing biceps. You don't want to be using your chest when you're doing back. I mean, there's too many movements that are mass building, but again, you got to be careful. Not everybody's Ronnie Coleman, where they can, put 900 pounds on the squat and grow big legs. I mean, it isn't about the pride thing. So
let's be cognizant of something. When we used to watch the video The Unbelievable, which is one of the greatest bodybuilding videos in the world about Ronnie Coleman, he did massive work before he got to that 900-pound 3-rep or 4. I mean, he was doing high reps with 500, 400, and that's why his legs grew. Those last sets that he did were more for exhibition to show, look, I'm 4 weeks out, and look how strong I still am. The reality is that the work that built the muscles was done before that set.
Well, absolutely, and even when I squatted, I mean, I'd throw 135 on there just for fun, to get the blood, to get my mind in it, and then my next set was 405.
Right.
And people would look and think I was crazy, but that was light for me.
Right.
But it didn't happen overnight. Again, what's light for you and what's heavy for you is what's important. You and I shouldn't be competing on weight. We might have some fun to see, how we can push, but anybody I train with, I do not push them to go heavier. I push them, I'll say, that was 15 reps in case you're counting. Because if they go the same weight and they only do 3 reps, they're not getting anything out of it. So I want them to know, look, this is how many reps I did. And no, I didn't swing my back and my hips. I had a guy I was training with that anytime we do any type of chest movement, his legs would come flying off the bench. And I'm like, first of all, it's embarrassing to work out with you, but what are you doing?
It's embarrassing.
Your legs are up and dangling. It's like, what the heck are you doing, brother?
What about this, before we're coming to the end of this segment, what about the fact that people are impatient, and that's where they go wrong? When you are doing lean gains, what do you think, drug use, no drug use, what do you think reasonable amounts of muscle gains are, so that people understand, look, don't eat more, give the muscles time to grow?
Bodybuilding is a forever sport if you do it right. If you're just getting into it and you think you're going to, look like Ronnie Coleman in 6 weeks or 6 months, no. Ronnie Coleman, myself, I started lifting when I was in 7th grade. It took me until I was about 23 to gain all that muscle. So, as I said when we started, if you can put on 1 or 2 pounds of quality muscle a year, you've done good. But again, don't confuse that with body weight. You might put on some body weight, but again, it's patient. It takes time. Each year you should look better and better and better. Obviously the younger you are, sometimes the quicker the gains, but I notice myself now, I make faster gains now than I did when I was younger because I'm even smarter now when I train. I don't train for hours on end. I don't, overeat. I don't eat the wrong things. You kind of know what you need to do, so you can put on muscle a lot quicker, and you know how to take off body fat if you need to.
Yeah. Dr. J, if anybody has questions for you, they want you to answer questions, they can reach out to you on Facebook, right? You've got a Facebook page, Jeff Galini, Dr. Jeff Galini.
Facebook, go to Superhuman Radio, look for Ask the Scientist. And a lot of you, have good questions. Bring them on. A lot of you have asked for training programs, supplement programs, diet. Hey, if you need something, that's what I'm here for. I don't charge for those. I'd love to share my knowledge with you. Part of, being an athlete is being able to give back to people what you've learned. So I love doing that. And, of course, they do call me the supplement doc or
Supplement Santa. Supplement Santa.
Oh, one guy said last night, he said, I just got my package. You have really earned the title Supplement Santa. I now know what it is.
I know. Well, listen, man, it's been great to have you back. Last week I had Wade Johnson on. We talked about Carble and all the people at the Yoga Compound that use it. So we had him fill in for you, and it was a great show, and we just focused on Carbolin and how to use it if you're a power lifter and so on. So
that's awesome, man. Well, thanks.
We'll see you next week, brother.
Take care.
All right.
Bye-bye.